Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for the cards and flowers. Happy Monday, everyone. So Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race, and we're being told that at the end of his term, he'll go directly to the Disney Hall of Presidents exhibition.
That's pretty good.
Biden staffers reportedly found out he resigned on X. But to be fair, so did he. True, Joe tweeted out his resignation letter. There was no press conference or even a still photo. But a White House spokesperson said Joe could still be reached by Ouija board. Earlier today, Kamala Harris gave her first public remarks since Biden dropped out of the race. And in response, Democrats started planning for 2028. Bill and Hillary Clinton have already endorsed Kamala for president, although Hillary hasn't ruled out stepping in if, something happens to her. But this is nice. To help out, Bill has already offered to start interviewing interns. Oddly, President Biden hasn't made a public appearance in 5 days. The only people who have seen him are these guys. Wow. Now that all of the Democratic Party's hopes are riding on the VP, once again they're saying that mispronouncing her name is racist. Remember, it's not Kamala, it's idiot. The only question that remains now for the Biden family is this. Does Joe's dementia mean that Hunter can ask Jill out? Is always there. And finally, it's been pointed out that Biden dropped out on National Ice Cream Day. Even more ironic, it's also National Crap Your Pants Day. All right. Let's do a monologue. So it's weird. Joe Biden hasn't been seen since they tossed his carcass from Air Force One last Wednesday. Can we at least get proof of life? Maybe have him pose holding a copy of today's paper? But then again, we've been asking for proof of life from Joe for years. Got nothing. So after years of watching him deteriorate and years of the media Democrat complex covering it up, Joe admits he's not up to the demands of campaigning, like traveling, speaking, and not dying. But now they're in a pickle. If Joe Biden's too far gone to campaign, how can he remain commander-in-chief until January 20th? Shouldn't they put him on like an ice floe and give it a shove before his addled brain starts World War III? But if Joe can still do the job, then didn't we just witness a coup orchestrated by Obama, Clooney, the big coastal donors, and the media, who just replaced a candidate simply because he was polling below Trump, which according to Dems means he was literally polling below Hitler. But talk about election interference. Someone get Joe Scarborough on the phone, but don't call his landline. He pulled the cable from the wall to make a noose. Look, Biden won those delegates, and that means he's the nominee. And like his toy fire truck, you can't take it away from him because it's his. Well, I guess you could take it away from him because they just did. Look, Trump got the nomination after being tested. In fact, there was quite a crowd on their debate stage, although half that crowd was Chris Christie. But
Why?
The fact is, Trump got the nomination and no one could take it from him. But not so on the left. Just ask Bernie, who the Dems hip-checked out of a presidential primary victory twice. And for a man his age, a broken hip could be fatal. So it was polling that got Biden out. A bunch of nameless number crunchers just anointed a new candidate. It wasn't because Biden's IQ dropped lower than his body temperature. If that was the standard, how can this woman be the replacement?
want to know.
Yeah. You know, that's the laugh of a woman who loves school buses. The shorter, the better. So they got Biden out because it looked like he was going to lose. That's anti-democratic. There's the rub. If they say it wasn't because Biden was going to lose, but because of his impairment, then he has to resign, because then he's unfit to run. And how the hell can he handle foreign policy when he's loopy? Then Dems should be saying the same words I hear at an ugly man convention. Get out of here. But if they say he is fit to be president, then why drop out of the race? You see, they painted themselves into a corner in, of all places, the Oval Office. The system is delegates nominate a candidate, not delegates nominate a candidate until he doesn't look like he's going to win. That's an attack on democracy. They're overriding the voters. If that had been the standard on the right, Trump would have been ousted in 2016, and we likely would have gotten 4 years of Hillary, and me and Jesse would have been found in the trunk of a car. Now, there could be something else going on here. Is there more to Joe dropping out than we know? Does it have something to do with Butler, Pennsylvania? I'm not suggesting the Dems tried to have Trump killed, of course. Hillary's retired. And she can't climb a slanted roof without twisting a cankle. But remember, Secret Service Director Cheadle was on Jill Biden's security detail. Jill reportedly pushed for Cheadle to get that top job. They're a perfect pair. A DEI hire gets you shot, then a phony doctor can give you fake first aid. But what if, when resources are allotted, favorites are played with experience and manpower? It's pretty clear the White House didn't take threats to Trump seriously. Could this have been negligence by derangement, a shared antipathy for Trump? So it looks like the Dems are embracing Kamala, who Joe has endorsed, although at this stage he mistakes her for Oprah. But Cam faces a dilemma. She can't possibly pick a VP more competent than she is. She can't afford to be overshadowed. So where is she going to find a politician who's even more clueless and incompetent than she is? Is there someone worse out there? Well, wait a minute. I've got an idea. Kamala, Joe, just trade places. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He won a Golden Glove for his prostate exams. Chief Patient Officer for the wellness company, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Her red meat is always kosher. DAZN boxing reporter Emily Austin. She's a backseat driver, according to arresting officers. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Captive. And he's like the Salvation Army. Elderly women keep handing their clothes to him. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA World Champion. Tyrus, I must go to you first, because I'm dying to hear from you. We have not talked since, even before the assassination.
Yes, that was court-ordered.
Yes, that was court-ordered. What have you to say about these events?
You leave for 2 weeks and all hell just breaks loose.
Yes.
I don't even know what the hell. It's like 7 remember where you were moments.
Yes.
You know, I guess since you want to talk about Kamala, we can do that. But
we'll save that for later.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about Joe and Trump.
I agree with you 1,000% with there's no path to victory, so I quit. That's basically what that is. There's no path to victory. You don't, like I said, we saw scientific history made during the attempted assassination of President Trump. It was the first time in recorded history that we've seen a bullet bleed.
Yeah.
That was bullet blood on his ear, and then shortly after that, I think the speech from Chuck Norris was particularly touching as he stepped down as the world's strongest badass, and he gave that title to President Trump. So all Chuck Norris jokes, you take Chuck out,
yes,
you put President Trump in. That's how it works. And so everyone knows that was bipartisan. Everybody worked together for that. So it's pretty exciting. But that in itself was crazy. I was on tour at the time, and I was afraid. I was in Oklahoma when the assassination attempt happened. I screamed bloody murder because at the bodyguards And again, everyone keeps talking about their heroes and this. You can be the bravest hero in the world, but you genetically never should have been in that position ever. You cannot bodyguard someone you're smaller than. Like that iconic picture of Trump with his fist up will be a statue, guaranteed somewhere someday. But in the bodyguard community, that is the worst picture I've ever seen in my life. It is, because again, seeing this made me think of like if Greg was protecting me. Where he would be like this, and it's on my leg, and be like, and then Kat runs in, I got you. And the two of them are like this, and my thighs could not be safer. But unfortunately, my major organs are up here.
But your femoral artery will be protected.
Yes. So it is the worst. It was shocking because the president was too strong for the people holding him down. He should have never got up here. And as awesome as that was, he never should have got back up on the stage. That's the hot box. When you're in danger, snatch, grab. Can I get my shoes? No. Go. So from that perspective, it was absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Dr. Drew, what do you make of my theory that the Dems have put themselves in a box? That if they say Biden is incompetent, then he can't be president.
Right.
But if they say he's competent, then it was a coup.
Yeah, you absolutely spelled it out exactly accurately. I just want to make one more comment on what Tyrus was saying, though. I immediately thought of Kat trying to protect you.
She would, though.
But I was doing my best.
And by pushing you in a car, right?
She would literally, if they were driving cars, Kat would have gave me the...
My arm would just snap off.
That's exactly right.
What I'm talking about.
So I agree. They're in a box. I was looking to the 25th Amendment today. Did you realize it just takes the VP and a single cabinet member to invoke the 25th Amendment? So I was thinking to myself, the VP seems to be motivated to want to activate this.
That might have been a threat.
I wonder if it was a threat, and I wonder if they gave him some positive sort of strokes. Like, do you see what Nancy Pelosi said? We can do it the easy way or the hard way. You can imagine the easy way is we'll forgive Hunter, we'll do all these things. The hard way, God only knows what that would have been like.
That's true. It is interesting. They probably gave him a golden parachute. That he's going to have a beautiful library, right?
Yeah.
That he can get lost in. Emily, can we trust anything about this story? Do we really know what happened? I'm talking about the Biden stuff. There's so many things going on.
I know. I mean, honestly, what started as a Joe Biden issue, which was obviously his cognitive disability to run a country, ultimately escalated into something so much bigger. So it started off, okay, he's not capable. But the gaslighting that we've seen, not only from the Democratic Party, but from the media, lying to us repeatedly that he's, what they say, as sharp as a tack, and he can run this country and lead it, now we see was a lie. Now, the debate was merely the straw that broke the camel's back. And the reality is this lie has been going on for years. So now we're left with this sense of dishonesty from the Democratic Party that we cannot trust them. And honestly, I think Dave Portnoy said it best. He said, Biden's not running again because of the illness. It's only because the American people now found out about the illness and they can't hide it from us anymore.
That's right.
And now Trump is handed this broken country that's never been more polarized, and now it's going to be his burden to fix it.
No media can be trusted except this show.
Yes,
Except X.
Exactly. Kat, do you think Kamala is thinking that if she performs worse than Joe Biden, they could pull a similar trick on her? Like, if her polling doesn't actually improve the situation, they're going to have an open convention, or they're going to do it anyway? I don't know.
Well, there was some other really big news, over the weekend that I'm surprised you did not include in your monologue.
What?
The finale of Love Island. I'm serious. Everybody's watching it. Okay, well, it's over now. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my time now.
Think
about this though. The finale of Love Island was this weekend. what a 6 weeks to be locked away in a villa in Fiji without your phone.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
I mean, like, they just got out. And, like, what do you tell them first?
Do you think they were news junkies?
I want them to. But okay, and dude, okay, first of all, you can besmirch the cast of Love Island if that's, like, very on brand for you. But, like, regardless, I feel like the assassination of a former president attempted assassination. I mean, he was actually shot. And then also Biden dropping out of the race. I mean, what would you even tell them first? And, like, did they start laughing?
That's
there's
like
no
totally
way
rad.
How would they have would they have been like, you can't possibly? I mean, what a 6 weeks.
You gave me an idea for a great reality show where you put people separated and then you lie to them when they come out.
Okay, but it's not over yet.
They come out and you go, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. Half of the United States has been disappeared.
I don't know how you could get crazier than this. And also, I remember after the debate, when Biden was, going to do the press conference, people were saying he's not going to drop out, because if he was going to drop out, it would be like an Oval Office address, be more formal. The dude drops out on Twitter.
Yeah.
No, they dropped out for him.
It's like you can't predict. I mean, it's also crazy, and it's crazy in ways that none of us can expect. I mean, where is he?
But to that point, the fact that they've given us such little information about so many things is causing conspiracy theories to just flourish all over the place. And what do they expect? I mean, this is so bizarre that from the Secret Service to the White House.
I believe it's a clear path from the Secret Service.
I'm
to
sorry.
this.
I know I've been gone on vacation, but I'm getting upset. Is no one not paying attention to how trying this is for President Biden, that he has to be reminded every morning that he lost his job? Like, he goes to bed every night. He's the president. He wakes up in the morning. You're out. Like, all they're really doing, Greg, is just like a really bad all-you-can-eat buffet that's making everybody sick. Instead of getting new food, they just put a sign under new management.
Yeah.
But it's the same. And that's all Kamala is.
We must move on.org. Up next, why no Democrat is keen on challenging the cackling queen.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like tickets to see Gutfeld, go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld and click on the link to join our studio audience.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.